Welcome, everyone. It's July 23rd. Welcome to the Flux Dev Meeting.
Hey. Some updates. What we are doing right now, we are in a process of doing a new patch release for Flux 2.9. We have found a quite serious issue in upstream Helm. Some people got blocked with a configuration that needs a line ending. Uh, I was quite surprised to discover that HA proxy, if you don't have a line ending in its configuration, crashes. And looks like Helm v4 cuts line endings when you set them as values. So you have some kind of configuration specific to HA proxy. You map it through a config map. Um, and when Helm compiles the values, it cuts the last line from all this configuration. And Mateus has found the issue. There is a bug in a regex in upstream in Helm. We patched it upstream, but sadly, this pull request did not make it in Helm release yet, and is scheduled for next month, end of next month. So we decided to revive our Helm fork. So since Helm before, we now in the Flux project, we maintain this fork of Helm upstream. Um, so we have switched back Helm controller to our own Helm fork that has this patch, and it will go out today. When the Helm project will do a patch release on their own with our fix, then we are going back to mainstream, and we are in this weird place where we flip between our own fork of Helm and Helm upstream from release to release. Uh, but it's the only way we can ship critical fixes to users that are blocked and they can't wait 1-2 months before this can go upstream. Hopefully, Hand before will be more stable this year and we can archive our fork. But for now, this is what we've been doing. Another thing that we are including in this patch release, there was another issue this time in customized controller. So in the Flux customization, we support people overriding images, tags, and digests, and is spec.images where you can set fields. And the issue was a merge between setting it in the customization.yaml and in the Flux customization. And if you don't specify the image, you only specify the tag, the image gets cleared out. And this bug is fixed and it will be released today. So yeah, that's it with the patch release. Other things that we have done, we've published a blog post around our new CLI plugin, Flux Schema. And we also announced that we have now catalog of all the CNCF projects and Kubernetes, OpenShift, and other ecosystem projects like OnePass controller, Vault controller. What we want to do is maintain an up-to-date catalog of all the CRDs out there in the world. We have now around 9,000 schemas that we index, and we offer this as a free public service with two consumers. One consumer is the Flux Schema CLI. So you can run Flux Schema validate in your CI pipelines before you merge a pull request. And this helps, if you are you had a typo in the YAML, or even if the YAML is perfect, but it will not pass the self-validation that the Kubernetes API enforces on many CRDs out there, you can now catch all these issues in CI before Flux gets to reconcile it. Another use case for this catalog that we have launched is an MCP server that we offer for free. Um, if you use AI, and this is where the world is going, no one wants to write YAML anymore. It should be an easy task for agents to write YAML. It has proved to be quite challenging. This MCP basically offers optimized index of all the CRDs out there in a format that the agent can understand and can use to know what new fields are in there, besides what's part of the training. I don't know, any even the latest AI model out there is months old in terms of the training data. So no AI knows, for example, about spec ignore in a Flux customization that we just released in 2.9. And this is not only the case with Flux, this is the case with every single controller out there which is alive. And how you add features to Kubernetes controller, you add fields to the APIs, so you cannot expect for the agents to know the latest fields and their meaning. Um, so if you hook up the Flux Schema MCP in your AI agent, um, then the agent will be able to figure out what the fields are, what their meaning of the field is, so it will actually understand how to use it. And then with the Flask Schema CLI, you can also validate everything and close the loop, right? The AI agents work great if you give them something to test their whatever they are generating. And for source code, that means running the unit tests or do a compilation, run end-to-end tests. But for Kubernetes configuration is quite complex. You are not going to let, I hope you are not going to let the AI do a apply on the production cluster where those YAMLs will end up. Um, so the idea with this MCP server is to be able to, and with the Flux Schema CLI, is to be able to have this agent loop for generating YAML without giving the agent access to a cluster, and be able to generate correct YAML, be able to validate that YAML against the latest schema, and reduce hallucinations, being able to generate something which is usable and hopefully will pass the Kubernetes API validation. Other things that are coming in the next weeks, we are trying to publish one blog post per week to highlight new features that we have shipped in 2.9. Deepti has prepared a nice blog post around the new ignore field that we have, where you can let Flux tolerate things like horizontal pod autoscalers and other controllers that are modifying the desired state. We also want to publish a blog post on Flux and OpenBOW integration for secrets and validation and signature validation. And later on, Lee is working on a blog post to showcase Flux Mirror, which is our solution of mirroring HTTP Helm charts from HTTP repos to OCI repos, mirroring containers, verifying signatures while you do the mirroring, and hopefully people will find this solution for moving to Flux Gitless GitOps, where the container registry holds the whole desired state. And we've tried, I mean, now for years to push people to store all their charts in container registry, but there are so many projects out there that they didn't have time to do it. They lost interest of doing it. So there are many CNCF projects which do not ship officially OCI Helm charts. They only have HTTP GitHub pages or something like that. So for those use cases, we've built this Flux Mirror CLI that you can run it in a cron job, you can run it inside your cluster, you can run it on your I don't know, Bastion hosts and so on outside of your perimeter. And you can sync all of these into your private registries or your own public registry if you want to. And we've seen already people adopting the Flux Mirror as a GitHub action. We also published it as a GitHub action for everybody that wants to do this with GitHub, given the fact that GitHub gives you um, a lot of GitHub action free minutes. So using this to sync various images into your own GitHub private container registry is it's a great use case, and this is we designed it for this, and we already seeing adoption. Hopefully, after Lee's blog post, the adoption will grow and so on. Um, a little bit of background how we got to Flux Mirror. So Binami for a very long time had a Go project that was doing this kind of mirroring.
Art Sinker. Yeah.
Yeah, Binami got bought by VMware. VMware got bought by Broadcom. Broadcom decided open source is not cool, so they changed all the licenses of everything. And this little tool that they had changed the license from Apache to some very weird license written by someone at Broadcom that decided you can only use the tool if you are a Broadcom customer. We are not. And I don't think anybody at home that runs Flux on Raspberry Pi is going to buy a Broadcom license for it. So anyway, um,
Maybe the
we
Raspberry Pi
can.
Broadcom CPU can come with a chart syncer license built into the Raspberry Pi. What do you think?
Yeah.
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 Uh,
Anyway, I thought it was a great opportunity to build a way better tool that's also security focused. We do things like sync this image into my registry only if it's signed with this signature and the signature is older than, let's say, 48 hours. Something that npm and other package managers are doing a lot due to various hacks that are happening in open source. So it's a good practice now. If you if you have a latest container image, a latest package of something, don't pull it right away. Wait for it a couple of days. Maybe someone finds malware in there that stalls all your bitcoins and all your credit cards and everything. But this cannot work for container images by
the,
default.
in the Trivi um overtake, did they update the Helm charts?
Not the helm charts. They push the 3V
Oh,
image
they
to Docker
mutated the
Hub.
tags, so and then the Helm
Yeah.
charts were not SHA pinned, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and no
maybe,
one pins by SHA, let's be serious. No one does it.
yeah, but if you
Maybe
were near,
0.001%. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh, and it's also about the fact that, you want to be on the latest of all your tools, right? Tools have various CVs. Why would you run an older version and expose yourself to that vulnerability while this competes with someone has take over that tool, has pushed malware to it, and if
yeah.
you update very fast, then you want to protect yourself from vulnerabilities, and by doing this, you are actually running malware on your, laptop, on your home devices, and so on. And everybody got burned, including GitHub got completely hacked by someone who pulled an npm package, and that person was working on GitHub SRE or whatever, and they got owned. The whole source code, all their 300 private repos are out there for sales. Yeah, and before that, Microsoft got hacked and everybody else. So it's a world there. Everybody gets hacked these days. So with container images is quite complex. With npm, and when you have something like npm, which is a SaaS, the npm registry does not allow you as the owner, the creator of a package, to mutate the timestamp of the package creation. It's not something that you own. When you push the package, the timestamp is applied from their product. With containers, the OCI spec has no such thing. You can't call the container image registry and get a tag, and the registry will not give you the timestamp when that tag was created. The convention is you add a label or an annotation to the artifact, to the container image, with the timestamp that you decide what you put in there. And what people are putting in there, origin, because you want, reproducible builds. So there is no timestamp actually that you can rely on. You can't look at some container image and say, oh, if it's newer than 24 hours, I don't want to pull it. Because if you trust that label is controlled by the owner of the image. And if the owner is compromised, that the hacker will not put time now, it will put time 3 months ago when the tag was originally created. Any tool trick, any tool out there, dependable, everybody gets tricked by this, because the timestamp is not something which is built into the registry. Various registries out there, I don't know, GitHub Container Registry, ECR, ACR, whatever, they have some timestamps, but there are things that, I don't know, in GitHub Container Registry, I think in the UI somewhere you can see the creation date, but it's not actually an API that gives you, because the OCI spec didn't thought that was a good use case. So there is no enforcement in the spec. If you build a registry, you should put a timestamp on the artifact, regardless of what the label or annotation is, and present that timestamp with the tag. So all the tools like Dependabot and so on, which are doing updates, they have either they can call proprietary APIs that will give you this timestamp. I looked into this, and like 99% of the registries don't give you an API for this timestamp. They show it in their UI somehow. Some show the ones in the annotations, some show their own timestamp. So just relying on the OCI artifact and the registry API on its own, it's impossible to say, cool down, I don't want images newer than 24 hours. So our solution in the Flux mirror was, we are not going to trust the registry or the OCI artifact. What we can trust is keyless signatures, because the Recur public ledger has a timestamp when that image was signed. So what we can do is say, we don't care about the OCI artifact. What you can say is, I want to deploy this new image in my estate only if the signature is older than 24 hours. And you can trust that information, because that information is not owned, cannot be altered, cannot be modified by the owner of the artifact. The moment you sign it, Recur, and there are time servers, the timestamp is something that you can trust with the public Recur instance. So relying on that timestamp is the only way how you can defend yourself against this. And from my knowledge, Flux Mirror is the only tool that does this currently. I hope, JFrog and others will copy this approach, but I think is the only way to add a proper cooldown to image synchronization and rely on something which is always valid. Now, of course, not everybody signs their images, and even if they sign them, not everybody signs their images using the Sigstore public good service. If you are not using Sigstore public good, um, Flux Mirror will not take that into consideration because you can't trust something which is not, you know, trustable in the community. So if you run your own private Sigstore, we can not trust your timestamps, and that's why we only support the public instance. Yeah, so all of this and more will be in a blog post. I don't know, 2 weeks from now, Lee. You think?
Yeah, I have the post written already, but I things like the private SIG store stack was looking at it, trying to understand how this mirror tool could be used as part of like internal, supply chains at orgs, right? Like for people who have their own signing flows that are not on the public good instance and stuff. Um, they want to trust their signatures when they move stuff, from development registries to production registries or, to an edge deployment or things like that. But um, that should probably be part of the declaration for the mirror config, um, which I think would work nicely.
Yeah,
But
that
the
kind of changes the scope, right? So the first goal with Mirror was you mirror things from
public inter,
upstream, usually open source,
yeah,
public projects,
bring it
which
into,
are killer signed, right? And you
yeah,
bring those into your estate. Now you are saying, but Mirror can also be used for promoting images
yeah,
that are built internally. You
like
build
a GitLab
something
GitOps
internally.
kind of
Yeah,
thing.
you push to your dev registry, gets deployed on the dev cluster. Now something happens, a signal that that image is okay, and then you want to use Mirror to sync
Move
the
it.
dev image to the production cluster, and then Flux picks it up there with image automation, Flux operator, or whatever. And then, of course, if you are doing this internal to internal, you may want to use your Sigstore private deployment and not the public one. I don't think large institutions are actually relying on this. What is Microsoft doing, Dipti? You are not using Sigstore at all, right? It's Notary.
I think it differs from team to team, but yeah, I think Notary is definitely used in one of the bigger orgs in Microsoft. Yeah,
So
Mhm.
when you inside Microsoft, you sign with notation with the V2,
yeah, the notation CLI. Yeah.
but you don't have a ledger at all for that, right? Are just static keys sitting there. Like, how is that secure in any way?
Yeah.
Depends how the keys, I guess. Um, it's
Is
like
there a trust? Maybe they are signed with the internal Microsoft CA, right? Because my understanding of notation is that you can sign it with your own CA, right? There's the difference. You don't need something like Record because it's an actual certificate that you sign it using your own CA. All the examples were like with self-signed certs.
Self-sensor.
What
Yeah,
we
yeah, that's the
that's
non-productionized version of it. Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure
yeah,
you
what
can use a Azure CA service with the
Certificate.
KMS and
Yeah, I think in Key Vault is where you'll place the cert and probably get it from there, is my understanding, but I'm not, I can check on the exact details. Yeah.
yeah.
mm,
Anyway, I know folks who are using signatures on private Sigstore stack and doing registry ops.
yeah, sure. But I was thinking
The production use case at a large fleet for Flux.
Yeah, definitely Six Story is very popular, but I was wondering if we should
Notation.
also support this kind of,
I think that would
maybe
be
for
yeah,
open source project makes no sense. Like no one signs with that stuff. Because then you have to rotate your own keys, you have to keep your own keys. So like
yeah,
keyless is so nice. It's like you don't have private keys to worry about. And of course, in open source, who wants another key to worry about? You have your
yeah.
PGP key, you have your SSH key. I don't want another key. But for the second use case that you mentioned, when you do promotion, right, from dev to production,
Yeah,
like
or
if
even
Microsoft is using this internally, I'm guessing there are also beyond Microsoft, there are others that are using notation, and maybe we should have support for it, but I'm not sure how would that work.
I've been thinking about it a little bit. I guess now is a good time to chat through it, but I imagine that we would have fields um on on the mirror config that would direct to the proper bundles, files, KMS um stuff and use the Flux libraries um in package to
Yeah,
invoke
but
those
we
verifying
we
flows.
we don't have this kind of workflow for notation. Dipti, can you look into this or ask someone at Microsoft that
Yeah, no,
does this
definitely.
internally? Like, so the use case for us is, let's say you have ACR here, which is in your dev account, right? And you have another ECR here, which is in your production account. You are very paranoid. You have different accounts, different everything, right? How can you trust? What is the trust like in cosine terminology? There's the bundle. What you put in that bundle, like what you put in the notation key that we can trust, and how to verify it. I'm guessing some you connect through workload identity maybe to Azure KMS to get something from there to validate the material before you do the synchronization. Like
Mhm.
we we do supporting mirror workload identity, so it's not a problem to get access to ACR either to pull or push, but we don't have any solution right now with notation, and the implementation from source controller is definitely cannot be used here because in source controller we only trust the key. Or maybe this is a solution, like maybe you in the pod or the, I don't know, Azure VM where you run the mirror, there you provision the key on disk, and then in our
Yeah.
configuration you say this is the private key, look at this path.
It's not a private key, it's the public key.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
public key, but
Yeah,
how
there's usually
can
key
you?
distribution in any number of ways. It can be as simple as putting a key on a website somewhere, an internal internet thing. But like the most like endpoint management kind of solutions, like let you distribute all of the uh all of the public keys that your org uses to every laptop and build machine and stuff that's registered with those agents. And at a minimum, you need to be able to pass a public key and say, hey, with notation, does this look good? With cosine, does this look good? We need to have a, a key flow and a keyless flow. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, so
and
we have
not
no
sure we,
support for a key flow right now. So that's
yeah,
what we need to investigate, right? How can we do it with a private six store
yeah, I think the fields will be
installation?
pretty similar. And the good thing too is this is front of mind because I was trying to fix this stuff for Flux 2.9. We made a few improvements in 2.8 and 2.9 for private SIG store, but there has to be a lot more. And I'm writing a RFC for 2.10. So
Wow.
for sure, we're gonna have a blog post about private SIG store support across Flux maybe late this year or next year. So we don't have to hit these points right now with Flux Mirror, but we can be thinking about them and see what it takes to implement.
Yeah.
So,
Deepti, can you please look into this and
Yeah,
see
no, definitely.
what would be needed for notation? Because we support cosine and notation for OCI artifacts in source controller, and I think it's fair for Flux Mirror to support both. If we did that for source controller, so I know the source controller notation was added from someone. I don't think it was your team. I think it was someone from a different team that was a notation contributor. I don't know if that guy is still around or not. But we should also, I don't know, update the notation packages in source control and figure out how to put it in mirror as well.
yeah, definitely.
Our
Yeah, I see it. If we do a verification of any signatures inside of source controller,
Yeah.
those same signatures should be supported via policy at the time of mirror. So
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. Is Deepti, how is this happening with native Azure services? Is a way for one ACR to mirror another ACR? Is that a thing or?
Yeah, I think definitely for like the Microsoft Artifact Registry, whatever we push, that's like the public mcr.microsoft.com, right? I think there is a syndication that you can add, especially to like other clouds. Like for example, you'll put something in the Microsoft Artifact Registry, and then there are all of these other private clouds, sovereign clouds, where they automatically get mirrored, right? So similar kind of scenario. So there is like a syndication process that you add, and then it automatically mirrors. What magic happens behind the scene, I'm not completely aware of, but yeah, I think
Mm,
it's definitely a yeah, a concept. Yeah.
okay, okay.
I think, yeah, definitely people in all of the hyperscalers customers are using like multi-account architecture as well, where you're going to have some sort of tenancy divide between multiple instances under the same like customer ID or something. Where, I have like an Azure account for this region and then an Azure account for this, subunit or LLC of the business. And interoperability or mirroring across registries for shared components is pretty common.
Yeah, our solution is like you are vendor neutral, right? Like Flux
Yeah.
Mirror should work. I am a bank. I
Anyway,
run multi-cloud. I'm everywhere, but I want, from my on-prem JFrog deployment to mirror to ACR, whatever is there,
yeah.
right? And
And
this is
like with
this is our approach with Flux for everything. So
yeah.
if we made it work with keyless signatures, we should definitely get notation is there as well. And for those, I know also AWS has some part of AWS has adopted notation. Is not only Microsoft. So also the notation project is not
Mhm.
Microsoft owned. It's tries to be vendor neutral. It's under CNCF, so there is no reason why we shouldn't work with them and get this into Mirror as well.
Some people even use these signatures just as gates as well for their image import flows. Like they might have some supply chain diode that's pulling in, say, every single Flux image, the CLI, the plugins, everything. And they have a, Trivy or, Anchor, like scan all of them, and the scan produces an attestation on every one of our artifacts that they want to verify. Then they can use that signing key to verify that, oh, okay, it's like past our internal requirements, so they can have a mirror config before it fans out to everything across all of their cloud accounts and stuff.
Yeah, another idea. I mean, after we get the private SIG store and hopefully notation like, yes, now we can say verify the signature. You can also say cooldown for particular number of hours or days or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was also planning on shipping a cell expression for
Yeah.
being able to look inside the
Yeah.
whatever is there. It's a layer, right?
Yeah.
So being able to pick a layer, type, I don't know, notation signature or whatever. So you tell Flux Mirror how to pick a layer. This code is already in source controller. We don't need to do much. Is the layer selector. So
Yeah.
we already have in package all of this stuff. So we can allow people to say, select this layer. You should expect in the layer a JSON, which is common for all these attestation signatures and so on. It's a JSON envelope. And Cell is a great language to express policies on top of a JSON bundle. So you can say, oh,
We we
I
don't
have,
have code for following referrers right now.
oh yes, in Mirror there is, because we copy also the signatures.
Yeah, I'm just getting that. I don't think that it's not exactly the same as the layer selector. This would be like a refer selector, I guess, or something.
Oh, so we iterate now all the referrals, and you will have to give us a layer selector, because how you can differentiate between these referrals is by looking inside. So the referral is what is an OC artifact, right? That
Yeah.
has a pointer to another one. So
Mhm.
now we can iterate all the referrals, which are OC artifacts. But for example, if you do salsa, you have three OCR artifacts on top of your image
Mhm.
with referrals here. One is the signature, one is maybe an S bomb, one is the provenience, and so on. So
Yeah.
we need to tell people like, okay, these
In
are all the
in practice,
referrals.
there might be a layer, but it also could just be a manifest. Like, it
Oh
could
yeah,
just
yeah, sure. The type of the manifest or the layer type
yeah, it'll just be like
is
a media type of something, and
exactly a media type. Sorry, not a layer type, a media type. So
yeah,
then you'll say, oh, if you find in the refers the media type called, I don't know, attestation v1, salsa v1, whatever,
yeah,
extract the JSON from there, apply these cell selectors on top,
yeah,
uh, right? And this is how you can create a policy
yeah.
without,
Let's go see, if this attestation, this in toto attestation, came
yeah,
from
came
with
from whatever, is
yeah,
signed, is approved by, has the approve array, and is approved by these three entities. There are so many things. I mean,
does the
I
build machine have a HSM, you know,
yeah, yeah.
or
We should
yeah.
yeah, it should be something. If we support this, it should be something that we shouldn't have any knowledge inside the Flux Mirror source code about any of this stuff,
No, it should be all
right?
examples and community stuff. I could see if the things got complex enough to where the examples are not good enough, then people might want like a policy,
Sure, a policy
whatever.
catalog or
You can
whatever.
have a
But
something in the community repo. Yeah.
yeah, but from an implementation perspective, it should be what layer should I select
Yeah.
based on a media type from the referrals, or maybe not the referrals, maybe a layer inside the multi-arch image. How, for example, Flux, in the Flux project, we chose Docker way of embedding SBOM. And the SBOM is inside the multi-arch image as a media type SBOM, and the SBOM is there for each architecture, right? So you can write a selector not only for the referrals, but inside the actual artifact where you pick the SBOM from for ARM64, and you look there for, I don't know, Go version, whatever, and only Go version bigger than 126 is allowed to be mirrored, right? It's
I
up to
wonder
the
if
user to decide what's in the actual cell expression. What we need to have is like this generic selector and extractor of JSON,
I
basically,
bet you
JSON
we could
blobs.
probably copy and maybe even use libraries or fork some code from Gatekeeper or Caverno on this. Especially Caverno, they just restructured all of their APIs to use Cell. It's very generic. It's a little controversial, I think, it seems like, at least when I was talking with Courtney when we were doing the Flux and Caverno stuff, because they made like they had all of these special fields before in their
Yeah,
old
I
APIs,
don't
and
know.
now you have to write these cell programs for these Caverno policies, and but that's like super generic. And
But we have a cell engine inside Flux package.
yeah, but what I'm saying though is that the shape of the API, because there's already ecosystem, there's already catalogs with policies and all kinds of stuff. Like, I wonder if the way that they use their fields and the way that they parse the images and the referrers, if it could be interoperable.
Oh, okay. Mm.
Because then you could
Right,
just
right, right.
literally copy your Kubernetes policies or um yeah, your gatekeeper stuff just like right over. Probably not gatekeeper because we're not going to do Rego.
No,
But
no, no. If we do something, it's only cell
so
because we already
maybe
have.
we'll look at Caverno and see if maybe the shape of their image verifiers are something that we can just pull right into Flux Mirror. That would be a nice
Yeah,
little blog post too, especially if the Caverno team likes what we did. But
yeah. Good idea to look there because they have image verification, right? I'm not sure if they actually look inside the if they
uh,
transverse the multi-arch manifest, which is one of the use cases I have in mind because Flux images are like that, and a bunch of other images are.
yeah,
Referrals are easy because referrals are tiny artifacts, one single layer. It's so easy to go there, download everything, and look it up. While
I would be
the
very surprised
multi-arch manifest is
if
more
the
complicated.
Caverno image verification was not expressive enough to deal with like recursive signatures and all kinds of stuff.
Mhm.
Because those the people who wrote that are, very informed on supply chain security stuff. So they might have already built something that we can at least take inspiration from, but maybe more. We'll see. So,
Mhm.
okay, cool. Well, that was a long conversation. That was not really. Thank you for entertaining my curiosity. Um, we got there because you were talking about the blog series that we're doing and
Yes.
our busy schedule, which is, yeah, we wanted to blog about the integration that we did for OpenBow with the secretless workload identity based KMS for SOPs with no tokens or anything for Bootstrap. Pretty cool. And then DeepD, I think we wanted to do your post after for 2 weeks from now. And then after we were looking at doing the Flux Mirror post. And then Mateus wanted to blog a little bit about the workload identity stuff that he did for receivers. So that's the next month of posts there. Um, which is a summer of celebration for 10 years of Flux. It's like, just so you know, our project is really old, but we're still doing really cool young stuff, right? That's
Yeah.
summer of Flux.
10
Um,
years in open source is really old. You are right.
and 10 years to be moving faster than when we started. Doing more with more impact, more users every day. So it's anyone see the stats on 30 billion downloads, huh? Only for Flux 2 alone.
Thank you, GitHub, for delivering terabytes of Flux binaries over this year. Like, imagine if you had to, pay for all this bandwidth and storage.
We'll
We would not have money to do that. Yeah.
send Satya some of the Flux enamel pins that Mateus made, you know,
Yeah.
and maybe a cake. Yeah.
The first time I tried to calculate how many downloads, how many polls we had on the Flux images, when I realized it was big, a big number was when I realized we had to have a 64-bit integer to store the number. Because it really
Nice.
crashed my solution.
But
Really?
let me tell you a better story. Like with Flux One. With Flux One, there was no GitHub container registry.
Oh God.
And Docker back then was, Docker Hub was let's say
Such a good
didn't
show.
have the best uptime out there. So
I already know what you're gonna talk about.
we
Oh God.
decided, man, we are going with Red Hat has this like solid solution. They bought
Wait.
this startup Quay. We are going to put all our images
From
there
CoreOS.
and don't mirror anything, right? We weren't in the mirrorings. We didn't have Flux mirror back then. So we put all our eggs on Quay. Then we joined CNCF with Flux and GitOps exploded. And one morning I was actually in London at the office at WeWorks that week. I don't know how it was like. I had to go there, talk to Michael or whatever. And we were like, I met Michael at the office. Michael was saying, "Hey, people are reporting they can't pull Flux anymore from Quay. Maybe there is a problem with Quay." I opened my laptop. What's happening? Quay was up. It's okay. Let me log in into Quay and see what's happening with the Flux images. Logged in, my account was deleted. I couldn't log in. Say like, you don't have an account. It's like, what? Let's search Flux on it's a public image. No Flux result. What they did was they completely deleted everything because there were so many Flux instancing checking if there is a new Flux version in Quay, they brought the whole Quay service down. So their solution was they restarted their database a couple of times. It was like, I think, a Postgres or MySQL, a single server. Every time after the restart, there were like all these Fluxes were connecting to their API, which hit directly the database, and the database couldn't restart. So the solution was they banned at the API all the requests towards the Flux image, and they deleted all the images. So
It
then we're
wasn't
like,
it wasn't the Flux image. It was the entire Weaveworks account.
everything,
The whole org.
everything, the
Yeah.
whole org, all our accounts,
Yeah.
everything. Like
WeaveNet. Yeah.
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 Also, yeah, but was
Yeah. Flagger. Yeah.
but we actually talked to them. I was like saying, we can't put our service up anymore because of all these Flux instances everywhere. So we deleted the org and we banned all the Flux requests. So I said, yeah, cool. Okay, let's go back to Docker Hub now. But we learned a good lesson now for Flux 2. From the beginning, we pushed GitHub Container Registry and Docker Hub. And all our images are at least in 2 registries. So if someone decides we can't take all this traffic, we need to delete your stuff, we'll still have a backup for users. But yeah, that was long time ago. I don't know, 8 years ago this happened.
That was so funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in my kitchen on the razor blade, sifting through logs and chatting with the Red Hat folks.
Yeah, and we didn't have the images. Like I think we had a guy that was running Flux in 0 something, Flux 1, and he had all the images. And he gave us the images so we can push them. We didn't even have them. We had like a couple of images
Yeah,
locally
just
on the
only the
laptops.
most
That
recent
was it,
stuff that
right?
we had on our laptops. Yeah.
Yeah, and Michael said, "Oh, we need to rebuild every single Flux version. It will take a month because we have Circle CI, the free version, and we could only do 1 or 2 builds per day." It was really problematic back then. Now we no longer have this issue. GitHub gave us unlimited GitHub Enterprise builders. We can rebuild all the Fluxes that we want, but back then it was a very different time. Dipti, do you want to discuss anything specific?
No, I think you covered
Okay.
the blog. That's my only this thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I made a comment to your blog.
Yeah, I saw.
The VPA example is not okay
Yeah.
because
How
it's a
about
mutation
requests
webhook.
though? Yeah, but like the requests you usually do for deployments, is the request section recommended to be omitted for Flux so that the deployment doesn't modify requests and it's completely owned by VPA? Because there was
No,
a
no.
no, not even that yet.
No. So uh, the GA version of VPA, I actually looked at it before I did your comment to make sure this is how it works right now. It works through a mutation
Mutated
admission webhook on the
on the
pods.
pod. Yeah, 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 I saw.
And Kubernetes changed the spec to allow drift between the pod
Oh,
and the
okay.
deployment. And we act on the deployment. So in our case, it's not an issue. The major issue is HPA because replicas is set on the deployment.
Yeah.
Another issue, like we should definitely use this also in the blog post. A major use case for this, if you know,
Cert
there
manager.
are CRDs. Yes, so CRDs can now have in their specification the CA for the CRD conversion webhook.
Mm.
And 90% of the controllers put there a dummy field with a value. So it has a value. Then cell manager does not add the field, mutates the field. And of course, if Flux will reconcile again the CRD, we are going to invalidate the certificate and put the dummy value back, which is it will disrupt, it will break the admission, the
The
conversion
conversion
webhook
webhook. Yeah, yeah.
until cell manager figures out, oh damn, the cert is not good and put it back. So and we actually had, I do remember last year we had incidents with people like breaking all the conversions. And if you apply an older version, if you have in Git an older version, Flux locks itself out, right? It applies the old CRD, breaks the conversion webhook, then it applies a custom resource v1 beta whatever, and the API, according to the conversion rule, it tries to call the conversion webhook with the
Webhook.
wrong cert, and everything breaks. Like you are done. You
Yeah.
have to wait for cert manager to fix it and suspend Flux. And the solution for many was, before we had this spec ignore, we have this field, we have this annotation for SSA if not exist. But then you cannot update the webhook anymore. So
Yeah.
if you want to change something in the webhook, add labels, whatever through GitOps is impossible because then you are going to bring back the old set. And this spec ignore basically fixes this. And it's all good. What's up, Kingdom? What's Kingdom thing have to plan?
The new meeting platform. I don't know if you've been reading the mail from CNCF, but we have a new meeting platform. Hopefully everyone has access by now. If you don't have access, anyone? Okay, well, we
I
can
don't know.
get access for anyone who needs it, but through a service desk ticket. But we have to actually cut over, which means scheduling the new meetings and/or taking down the calendar old
Okay.
meetings.
Okay.
But
And
it's still on
I don't
Zoom,
know if we
right?
can just copy the event to the old calendar either.
This is just so that we have like Zoom accounts that are covered, or so that the meeting is like a premium meeting with like
Yeah,
no
my
time.
understanding is that the account that we have now for hosted meetings is just going to go away on July 31st, and
Uh, okay.
we
Holy
have to use the new platform to schedule meetings, and it's going to mean people need a CNCF account to log in. And it's how Cozy Stack does their meetings already. So I've got a little bit of experience with it, but I'm not managing the Cozy Stack meetings. I'm just an attendee. So I can tell you how it works as an attendee. But we need to either put a separate meeting on the calendar that we can do a test, or we just make the next meeting Wednesday next week a test meeting.
So people need to have a what account in order to participate
CNCF Linux Foundation account. I think it's the same.
through Zoom. They have to log in with their LFX ID.
It's simpler than that. Yes, but it's your LFX ID. You have to have a, I
Oh
think it's a
no,
Linux Foundation ID.
I don't like that actually. Because anyone needs to be able to join these calls on a whim. Um, hmm.
Yeah. So we have to test it to see how it actually works because I can't tell you exactly how painful it is from an
Okay,
admin
well, we
perspective
better get on that.
without testing. But
Okay, we don't have a lot of time for that. That sucks. Thank you for bringing that up. Um, yeah.
I'm not sure how streamlined we can make it, but there are options. Like I know the most thing that was concerning to me was they said, "Oh, it's going to do automatic recording and it's going to post the videos automatically." And I said, "Wait, no, we don't want that. Can we have maintain control over when the videos get posted?" And they backed off and said, "Yes, it's an option. You don't have to do those things." They're
Okay.
just
Presumably everything would be optional then, and we might need to just turn things off.
yeah.
Something. Because I don't think that we can be gating a login on the Flux Dev meeting. We don't have a problem with like Zoom bombers or anything right now.
Yep.
Unfortunately, now I've said that on a recorded video that's being posted to the internet. So, um, but yeah, um,
I've attended in the past. I think for Silva is the same. You have to, but no. Only you can get no. You have to go through LF sign
Yeah,
up.
for the Silva meetings, you have to go through the Linux Foundation account that you have set up.
Yeah. So yeah. So Linux Foundation Europe has adopted this like 2 or 3 years ago, and now they are rolling out everywhere in LF, CNCF, everything.
interesting place to track project health and metrics because it does produce data,
Yeah, of
right?
course.
Login sessions, participation with project meetings. It's okay. Well, good to know. As long as that data is available to us, then I don't feel too bad about it. But um, okay.
I'm going to keep the Flux Bug Scrub off of the calendar for now because it's basically a dead meeting. And if it's going to be tracked whether people are attending our meetings or not, we want
Yeah,
I want that.
yeah, yeah. Let's only so for now. Let's onboard the this one, the dev meeting, and see how it goes. Then once we figure out all the constraints and how we can do it, the calendar, how can we post it on the website, all that stuff. Then we can think of bug scrub and others.
At
Um,
least we'll have a one more meeting where we have this meeting ID working in its current state, and does it
That we
stop
can
working?
fall back on. Yeah, I will not unschedule this meeting, whatever I do. I'll probably schedule a meeting on the new platform and leave this
Yeah.
one. And we'll just
okay.
have to manage the transition somehow for one meeting because this account is going away after that meeting. So
Uh,
Cool. So what I have to do, what we have to do, Kingdom, what me and Lee and Mateus, I'm guessing we need to be onboarded somewhere to start recording and all the stuff, right?
I'm
Everything changes, like the key will no longer work. It's a different Zoom account.
yes, something like that. I really have no idea how it works. I think that once you log in with your Linux Foundation account and it's associated with the Flux maintainer team, it should be seamless and smooth. Like you just get access. That would be it's,
It will
it's
not
just going to work, right?
happen.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
yeah.
you'll have to find
we'll
the
see.
event. Like you have to figure out how to subscribe to the calendar again, and all of that stuff is going to be different. I'm not sure we can just make it seamless. Ideally, we can just make it seamless though, because I want anyone who's already subscribed to the calendar to stay subscribed. So
Yeah, I mean, maybe we could send an email
I'm
and
looking at
post.
Cozy Stack, I'm pretty sure I didn't have to log into anything to get into this meeting right now that I just joined. So
No.
however Cozy Stack is doing it is probably how we want to do it, because there's just a Zoom link with a password in the query string, and it worked. So that's what we want. And
Yeah.
it should go onto our existing calendar.
Okay. So
Cool.
you're going to take point on the calendar invites thing,
Yeah,
Kigo?
I'll make sure calendar invites go out, and I'll send an email to CNCF Flux maintainers
Okay.
today.
If something looks like it's getting sideways, please just ping us in Slack or something.
Okay.
Hopefully that's not too much of a headache. On the topic of account access and metrics, how do I see the Netlify stuff if our workflows are not working? Do I need to be added to the Fluxity IO team or something in Netlify? I want
No,
to look
I'm
at,
not. No, only the org admins can be there. You can delete the whole DNS and everything. I'm not going to expand that list.
okay,
That's why we set up this token so we can export the.
but that's in
Uh,
is the workflow working? There's a stats repo, right? Something like that.
Yeah, the last commit turned off the workflow because it wasn't working. I'm not sure what was broken. I didn't have time to look at it at the time.
Fluxity
mm.
stats.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's not working. I don't know. Maybe the token expired. I also didn't have time to look into it.
It's going to
But
give you nothing more than the latest 30 days of statistics. So if what you're looking
yeah,
for is in there,
Yeah. I mainly want to look and see like when we do a blog release or something, like who is who is sending traffic our way? Is it Reddit? Is it a particular subreddit? Is it Twitter?
I
Is it
don't think we have that kind of information. We don't have any cookies, man. We
No, it
disabled
should be
everything.
refers.
I think there was some refer information in
Yeah,
there. It
there should
was
be
extremely
refer.
limited, but
It's just not that's not a that's a
like
very simple
for the top 10 hits, you can see
yeah, where is your traffic
refer
coming?
information or something like
Not
that.
people, but just like what websites are linking to you. Yeah. In
Okay.
what volume?
Wait 1 second. Let me see if I can log into this.
There
Yeah,
might also be like
the
roles or something.
problem. No, so the problem with Access here is that you can't have um, grained access.
Yeah, there's no fine-grained
Yeah,
information,
so you can wipe the whole DNS, everything, and it's we decided to only give this to the org admin, so there are only 3 people that can actually delete
which would
the
be you,
whole.
Chris
Is
A.
me, Michael, and Hide. No one else
Okay.
has access to it. Are the same people that can delete the Flux org.
Yeah, minus Chris A.
Chris is in GitHub, but not in Netlify.
Yeah. Only so only
Ihor is in Netlify because Ihor helped us set it up.
uh-huh.
Um, but I want to keep this like
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just looking for metrics. I don't need more access than is needed or anything. So, but I mean, you can even just
1 second. Let me see what I can do here. Projects. I don't see. Okay, there is a Flux Enterprise subscription. Damn, we are almost close to the enterprise bandwidth included. 400 gigabytes. Traffic is insane on FluxDIO.
well, especially with all of the scraping now.
Yeah.
Over 60% of it is probably AI labs.
How can you download? I mean, it's just some markdown. 400 gigabytes of the hell.
Is that for the month? I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the limit is 600. We are getting close. And then
Do we need to? I mean, I wonder what you would do at that point. It's sponsored by CNCF.
yes. And it's
Presumably, they would
the
just talk to Netlify somehow. So
yeah. I mean, we
anyway,
have
I wonder if it's
100K
soft cap,
page
honestly.
views.
I probably at that level, it's probably a soft cap, and that's when somebody gets an alarm from their account management to go and talk to whoever is on the purchasing order. And,
So we have, let me share my screen. Because I was right, that information is not
do we need
stored
to
at all.
stop recording now, I guess? Or
Yes,
yeah,
I can stop recording.
here I can stop. Okay. Bye.